Hi guys, it's Sherry. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Y'all, let's show those pesky scraps who's boss. Stay tuned. So scraps come in all shapes and sizes and all types of material. And here I've got some of the chipboard scraps that I have in my stash. I actually have baskets of chipboard scraps and I saved them because I use them. And then I have paper scraps. And this paper is from last year's Valentine's crafting. And what I do with my papers is I put them in these large Ziploc bags and I store them away in a Valentine's bucket, or I do the same thing with Christmas, store it away in a Christmas bucket. And then I pull them out as the season approaches. And today we're going to pull out a few pieces of our scraps from this bag, and then I'm going to bring in my chipboard and also show you a way that we can take some of the scraps and incorporate the chipboard to create something completely useful. So here is what we're going to be doing today. We are going to take our scraps and we are going to use them to make some rosettes. And our rosettes become embellishments for our projects. So we can take our scraps, make up a whole bunch of rosettes, toss them into a basket, and as we need a rosette, pull it out, and we've got an instant embellishment for a project. But we're not going to stop there. We're also going to make our own chipboard ephemera. And guys, this is such a cool way of using up these little chipboard pieces that always seem to be left over from our projects. And we can now take pieces of paper or stickers and turn them into chipboard ephemera. And that's exactly what we're going to do in part 2 of this video. But in part 1, we are going to make a gorgeous rosette. And we're going to take this scrap piece of beautiful Prima paper and we are going to turn it into a rosette. And I'll first explain to you why I didn't toss this piece. Now there are some scrap pieces that I do toss. I can't save everything, and you guys will get to a point where you realize you can't save every little piece because you won't have room for it. For me, any piece this size, this is 12 inches and probably 3 inches wide, I know I can cut it down and get some good crafting out of it. I'll even save smaller pieces, but if a piece is like 1 by 2, I might toss that piece. But when you have a larger piece of scrap, that I'm definitely going to keep. So I'm going to cut this down and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so that scrap paper was 3 by 12. I went ahead and cut it into 2 strips of 1.5 by 12. And now we are going to take this and turn it into a beautiful rosette. So I'll bring in my scoreboard and I am going to position my paper in on the 12-inch side, and I'll score every 1/2 inch. So that's 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and I'll just do this all along my paper until I am completely done. Sure, watching me do that was like watching paint dry. Okay, so once we have our scores in, we simply need to accordion fold our beautiful strip of paper. And all I'm doing is going back and forth, and I'll just kind of squeeze it tight as I go through it. And I'll bring in the second one, but I want it to point something out. So when I started on this one, I started with my fold going down. So now when I start on this one, I need to start with my fold going up. And I'll just give that a tight squeeze, and you can see that I've got one going down and one going up, and that's so that they can fit inside of each other. So now what I want to do is I want to come back with my glue and I'll place it on any one of those ends, and then I'll take the other side and I'm just going to join these two pieces together. And then I'll come around to the other side and do the same thing. So I'll add my glue. I'll take this piece and I'll get it stuck down. Okay, so now I'll come back and I have two squares, and they measure about 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch, and they are what I'll be using just to glue this together. So all I'm going to do at this point is take it as it's sitting like this, and then I'll just squeeze it and bunch it up, and that's how I get my shape. So now I'll come back with my hot glue, and I'm just going to go around that circle with my hot glue, and then I'll come back with one of these squares and just place it down so that my hot glue can grab and set up. Then I'm also going to look at my rosette to make sure it's got a nice, decent, round shape. Then when that's dry enough, I'll flip it over, come back in with my hot glue, go around that circle, making sure I touch all the pieces of paper, and then I'll come back with this one, put it on the back, and we're basically sandwiching the fans of the rosette between two stabilizing pieces of paper. So then you end up with a very pretty rosette. And we're going to set this to the side, and we are going to make some chipboard ephemera. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys just a couple of quick ways that I use up my scrap papers to make chipboard ephemera, as well as my stickers and my chipboard. So here's a scrap page from a paper pack that I had, and it's got all the cut aparts. So I had already cut out one piece, which meant that this page would just be cut apart. So I cut out these. And I'm not going to turn them all into chipboard pieces with you guys here, but I will be turning them all into chipboard pieces, and I'll use them in my stash. Okay, so the way that I do it, guys, is I will look at what I'm working with. So right now I'm working with these little cut aparts and my chipboard. And basically I am going to work with this cut apart first. So I'm going to set these others to the side so they'll be out of the way. And then I go back through my chipboard to find a piece that is going to work. And this is the piece that I want to work with for this particular part of the project. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and very lightly glue this. Now when I'm doing this just to make up bunches, I actually use my sticker maker, but I'm not going to use that because this is pretty much a tool-free project. So I am going to lay this down just like that, come back with my bone folder, get my glue nice and stuck, and when it's a straight line piece, I'll just bring in my ruler, position it down, bring in my finger blade, and just start taking away the excess chipboard. And now you can see I have a nice little piece of chipboard ephemera that I can use on my project. And I'll come back with my little sanding block if there's any roughness on this and just clean it up so that I'll have something that really does have a professional finish to it. Okay, so that's one. And then another way that I make my chipboard into chipboard ephemera is I use sticker books. So we can take these little sticker books that we can find at any one of our crafting stores, might even be able to find them at Tuesday Morning and even on Amazon from time to time. And I'll just flip through and find a sticker that I think is going to work on chipboard that I have. So as I'm going through, I'm being drawn to these stickers here. And I like this one here that says, I love you. And what I'm going to see is if the little scrap that I had left is wide enough for this. And this little scrap actually will work for this. Even though my sticker is wider than this, we're still going to make it work. And here's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to lay my sticker down and just get it positioned, trying to get it centered. And I'll come back with my bone folder. Now I can come back on the back side and just trim away the excess. And you can see I've still got a very cute little I love you piece of sticker left. So now I'll come back in with my ruler and I'm going to trim off the excess. And I'll come back in and just do a little bit of cleanup. And there we have it. You can see that I was able to reduce that piece of chipboard scrap that I had from that longer piece down to this little piece. Now, if you wanted, you could probably find a way to incorporate this, but at this point, I think it's time to throw this piece away. I'm not going to save it because it'll be a lot of work trying to get it onto something, but I now have these two wonderful pieces of chipboard ephemera to add to the collection that I had already cut out, and you can see just how easy that was and how practical it is, because we can always use embellishments on our projects. And now we can take whatever we have around us and make those embellishments, and we can use up our chipboard pieces and our scrap paper to do it. So now let's take this and put it into some practical use. I am going to bring in the rosette that I made. I'm going to choose this cute little piece of ephemera that I made, and all I'm going to do is add some glue to the back. I am going to place it down. And there you have it, guys. We have now created our own unique, one-of-a-kind, and I will say that again, one-of-a-kind embellishment. We took our scrap chipboard and our scrap papers and turned them into something absolutely useful and gorgeous for our projects. And I am going to bring back in the other rosettes that I made. And these were made just using stickers as the top embellishment. So all of these were made from scraps left over from my 2019 Valentine's crafting. And as you can see, I have now turned them into something useful for my Valentine's 2020 crafting. So go through those chipboard scraps, go through the paper scraps, and see what you can come up with. Guys, I hope that you have liked this project. And if you have, please hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I would love to have you join my online crafting family. You guys have a great day. Happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.